Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brown. On this episode, I'll be joined by Matt Starr and Vincent LaRussa. They will share with us what it was like for Vincent to hire Matt to drum on one of his songs on his latest CD, Before the Storm. We'll get to hear the perspective from both Matt and from Vincent on what the experience is like. I can tell you, if you're a musician out there, you're going to want to listen to this and then probably head on over to Matt's website and ask him about his services. This is really a great story for any and all recording artists that are out there. I guess, without further ado, let's jump in and let's get started with our conversation with Matt and Vincent. Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I'm super excited to have with me not one but two guests, drummer Matt Starr and recording artist Vincent LaRussa. How you guys doing today?
Good, brother. Good to see you guys.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Absolutely. So, Matt, I guess before we jump in and get started talking about the work that you've done with Vincent on one of his songs and what you do for other artists as well, if you don't mind, I'll just ask, anything new going on in the world of Ace Frehley? I know that you've recorded, I think, like his last 4 albums, parts of them with him. Anything new on that side?
No, just working on the newest album. Okay. And can't really say anything, but it's awesome. It's awesome. It's Ace. So that's great. And just finished up a record with a band called Minefield, which is your buddies, Todd Kearns from Slash's band and Jeremy Asbrock from Ace's band, and then Brandon Fields, it's his band. And so those singles are coming out over the next few months. And everything's been good, man. Just doing, my coaching work and starting to get more speaking gigs, actually. People are starting to, get together a little bit, which has been great. And other than that, I'm in the recording studio, and we'll see about the shows.
That's awesome. Now, and did I also read, are you doing some background vocals on the new Phil X album? Did I see that right? I
did do those. Yeah, it's a musical quartet called the Morscoopials. So it's myself, Joe Lester, Steve Ferlazzo, and Mark Tureen. So this is probably maybe 4 years ago or something that we did this. Maybe a couple of years ago, but I think it was longer. I was at Tommy Lee's studio, and we were singing some background part, and Phil goes, "Can you guys kind of go like a little?" And we're like more scoopy, scoop. So we came up with the name the Morscoopials.
That's great.
So that's us. We've had one recording session, and then we'll have to do our reunion tour sometime soon.
That's awesome. So to me, one of the cool things is we just rattled off a few different artists that you've worked with in the past. And I know last summer you were with the Echo Bats, and you guys released a song there. But it's you don't only give these, I'll say, really big name artists the opportunity to work with. You also ventured out and helping artists such as Vincent, I'll say newer artists, with performing on their stuff. So how did you start doing that, and when did you start doing that?
I mean, I've been doing that since kind of the beginning. I think the idea of working remotely really changed everything because, this is probably, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. I had a band reach out to me from South America and they want me to play on their record. And I was like, okay, so you're going to fly me there? You guys going to fly here? What's going to happen? And, they couldn't afford that option. They're like, can you just record and then send us the tracks? And until that point, I hadn't done this before. I go, of course, the technology exists. But anyway, so I started doing that. And then when I was putting the word out for tracks, I was like, yeah, I can work with anyone, anywhere. And this became the norm. And now this last year has been, the busiest year of my studio work because everybody's recording, and for me, it's just about making music with people that are serious and really passionate and want it to be the best that it can be. That could be Vincent, that could be Ace, that could be it. To me, it doesn't matter, how famous or not famous the person is. It's just, is this song really good? Is this person committed to doing something really exceptional? And then, can I add to it? Can I make it better?
Right. So Vin, how did you ultimately write? So you've been writing songs, you were getting an album together. How did you ultimately get connected with Matt?
Well, I was aware of Matt, first of all, from playing with Ace and Space Invader and the Origin stuff, and also just from social media, especially with the pandemic, paying attention more to what's going on, what other people are doing, trying to figure out what to do, and saw that Matt was putting himself out there, saying I'm available for service, and I was like, all right, this is cool. Mm-hmm. I would love to have Matt on my record, and so it's just one of those things, he makes it very easy. Just reach out to him. I asked up front if I could have a phone conversation with him. We spoke for about 25, 30 minutes. And what I loved about speaking with Matt, it's not all business. We bullshitted about whatever up front. We talked about he knew somebody or somebody in the tour bus or something from Staten Island, and they would talk about the eateries and the pizza there. And we kind of laughed about that a little bit. And, immediately you get like a human connection with somebody. It makes you feel at ease. Because, for me doing this for the first time, you get that little stage fright, you know what I mean? Matt is a star, not only just by name, but, he's been on the big stage. But, he made it so easy. And we had a great conversation. And, we just started discussing the song, and he asked me what I was looking for.
Yeah, so both you guys, help me walk through that process, right? Because I'm not a musician, right? I know I have guitars hanging on the wall. I don't play them. I can't sing to save my life, right? I don't know what keys anybody sings in, right? So to me, this would not seem like an easy thing to do, although it sounds, Matt, based on what you were saying, and Vin, based on what you're saying, that it's not a difficult process. So walk me through how that happens, how you guys actually work together like that remotely.
Yeah, I mean, logistically, having done it so many times on my side, that's all worked out. So that was all the questions. Like, I know I can play drums. I know I can communicate with artists or songwriters or bands and go, what do you want? What, I want this kind of vibe or this thing or that, I know how to do all that. But just logistically, how does this work? And so that's gotten all ironed out. And I also realized early on too, I don't want to be engineering. So some guys have a recording studio in their basement or their garage or something, and they're hitting space bar and then running over. I don't like that. I just like to be the drummer. I don't even like to set up. Let somebody else do that. And it's not to be, a big shot. It's so I can just solely show up, focus on the songs, focus on the music, and nothing else. So that's, for me, what I want to bring to anyone that I work with, that they get my undivided attention, and I'm not doing 20 different jobs. I'm just doing one, which is, I work for them. So logistically what happens is, let's hear the song, and then I want to hear what's on there. They might have a drum machine, they might have a drum loop. So it's the same beat over and over again, but they're playing to it. So they might go, there's a loop, but you just do your thing. But I'm going to go, yeah, but obviously you're playing to this loop. So is there something about this that you like, that you're used to? Because I'll give you that, and then I will add to it. And sometimes they go, I hate the loop. Just don't, okay, fine, cool. That's good too. Or like in Vincent's case, there was worked out parts in there. I'm like, okay, this, he clearly thought about this. So, he was hitting it. There was a tom hit that came around every other time. And I'm like, okay, I think that's important. So what do you want? And we would talk about what's important to him and what things he liked about it. And then where he wanted some different things to happen. At that point, it's just communication. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you take your car to the garage. If you don't know anything about cars, you go, it's making a noise and there's a grinding and go, yeah, it's the belt and the thing. Yeah, because when I turn the key and the guy's like, yeah, it's a belt. You go get a coffee. I'll take care of it. So we do this all day. This is what I do every day. So, if someone needs it to feel happier or more powerful or louder or quieter, whether that's just what we do. So it's just about, understanding what they're saying, what they want, and then, delivering that. But, I'd like to hear Vincent's experience on the other side of that, what that was like for him.
So interestingly enough, both you guys had suggested the song for Matt to play on. Matt, you remember I think I sent you 3 songs, Matt, and you said, I think I should do this one, which was the song Tolerate. And Mike, you said that too. And I had it in my gut, that I wanted Before the Storm to be the cornerstone because, it was a song I've had in my head for so many years. And I always visualized it, of having this, the top-notch players be on it. And so I really wanted to go with my heart. So part of me was like, I'm already going up against Matt. He's suggesting it. He's the pro. He's the one who's really got the experience. And I'm saying, no, Matt, not that one. I want you to do this one. But again, Matt totally was like, okay, I get what you're saying here. And I think what attracted me to the song also is that, Matt, and a lot of the stuff that you do is very hard, heavy hitting, a lot of drum fills and stuff like that. This was a more laid back tune. Not that I was challenging you in any ways, but I thought I would like to hear a different side of Matt Starr in a ways. You know what I mean? And I was very curious to hear that. And what was great, what Matt did, he did discuss with me, and we talked about certain parts. He did say, in the bridge part, I'm not quite sure what I want to do there, but I'm hearing maybe a tom thing. And I was thinking, okay, whatever, I'll trust you. And, so we kind of went back and forth with that. And when I finally got the result back and he did this whole tom groove thing, it just it took me back at first. I was like, whoa, what is this? Because I had never heard in any of the demos. He put a build in there that went out of that, which didn't exist in the song, right? So he kind of I hate this. I mean, look, I'm a drummer, it's I felt like I had to give him a songwriting credit because he changed in a ways, putting in something that really the guitar approach, that which later Joel, kind of he attached himself to that. Vocally, I attached myself to that. Drummers are really a lot of times they're the unsung hero in songwriting because they don't usually get songwriting credits, but I've always been an advocate for drummers saying, listen, a hook could be a drum fill. It could be an intro. The intro to Shock Me, boom, da-da, boom, da-da, boom, boom. I mean, it's again, Peter Criss gets a bad rap a lot of times, I feel, but he's got a ton of hooks that on a lot of those early Kiss recordings. So, yeah.
No, so, I would think from my point of view, Vin, being a musician, right? And you play guitar, you play bass, you sing, you produce your own stuff. Like you said, you play drums. Was it difficult to kind of, I'll say, let go a little bit and trust somebody else with your song and kind of, obviously, like you said, Matt's accomplished, but I would think from my point of view, being not being a musician, that's a little tough as a musician to kind of let go and trust somebody.
I did, and especially on that bridge part. It wasn't that I didn't like what he did right away. It's something I wasn't expecting, and I had to rethink. How do I make what he did? I'm not going to, if I didn't like it, I would have said, hey, Matt, you know what? I don't think that vibe really works there. I wasn't trying to put, a round peg in a square hole there. I was just thinking, I got to think outside of my Vincent LaRussa, brain of where I usually produce everything. And how could I be more creative on my part, on my end, and make this really work, And now I can never listen to that song without hearing that part the way, you know, Matt kind of laid down the groundwork there. And it's awesome. So.
No, Matt, do you remember, you know, what he's talking about with that whole build up or whatever? Because I remember when Vince spoke to me about it, he was like, you know, hey, that's a little bit different. And I was like instantly, I love it. I love it. And you know, Vin, you've said to me now multiple times, it's one of your favorite parts of the song, right? So it's something you didn't even actually envision when you first wrote the song. But like you said, just little subtleties and somebody else's point of view. You know, Matt, do you remember that when you were recording that, and some thoughts that went through your mind with that at all?
Yeah, I do. And I think my job is, first of all, Vin wrote a great song. So that makes my job so much easier, right? So, you know, sometimes you're trying to kick the song in the ass, you know, and other times, like, I got to stay out of the way. You know, I just want to support this melody. There's a story here. I just want to listen to what the emotion is so I can, you know, kind of ebb and flow with that and support that. So that made my job really easy. But also the other part of it is I'm looking at things from, you know, from a distance. So what's going on? It's like, oh, we've been doing this for a while. Okay, let's switch just to keep people's attention. And again, not to go do some Tom Sawyer fills, but just to switch the texture or the tone depending on the emotion. So, yeah, so going into the bridge with the toms, and then it just felt like it needed this build. And I'm not really a build guy per se. That was a big 80s thing. We were doing fucking builds all day, you know, build to this, build to that. But it really needed that kind of exhale, and then that, you know, because there's this emotional feeling to the build. So yeah, that's kind of, again, I'm not sitting there going, well, this is I just kind of do it, but then you look back and go, well, yeah, because it makes sense, you know, and just kind of analyze it. But but no, I remember doing that, and I felt like it went into that chorus nice. And again, if you're here and then you want to lift, well, if the thing is lifting, cool, but if it's not, you know, then you got to go down so you can come back up.
Yeah.
You know, and only way you can go down is to play less, quote unquote. You know what I mean? So either quiet or whatever. I mean, you know, Nirvana's like the kings of that. It's just loud, soft, loud, soft, loud, soft. You know, and that's it. So I'm looking at, you know, if there's a lot of notes, let's do some less notes. If there's not a lot of notes, let's do a lot of notes. You know, switching that up, but then also just the dynamics of the thing. Right. You know, so that's how we got there. But again, I these songs just kind of played themselves, which was a lot of fun, you know, to just again listen to the story and just support this story that was going on.
Yeah, and one of the things that Matt didn't do is he didn't get in the way of the song at all. Like I kind of respected the form of the song and the feel of the tune. You know, a lot of guys, they could be a selfish player and try to, you know, get their rocks off and do a drum fill, a guitar thing. And the companion story to this is actually funny because when we were talking about the song and maybe the outro, I think we were talking about, Matt had said to me, well, if you get someone like a Joel Hoekstra to play and all of a sudden like the light bulb or you hear that moment because, you know, Mike, you and I discussed, you know, guitar players who maybe we tried to reach out. And when he said Joel, I was like, and I said to him, I said, you think that Joel would be? He says, I don't know, just ask him. He's a cool dude, you know, just ask him. And I did. And in my discussion with Joel, the cool thing about Joel, and I had a, you know, very similar experience. You remember, Mike, I was at your house. I was all nervous. I ran into the car, called him up. I had to be in my own zone.
Right.
And Joel was very much like, you know, I get asked to shred and play a zillion notes. I love doing melodic guitar solos. You know, this is great. I'm so excited, which that made me excited that he was passionate about. And he, you know, again, he could have done his Joel thing, but, you know, he really hit it out of the park with that ending. So and all the guitar work he did.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I remember, Vin, you telling me, you know, after getting the drum tracks from Matt, you know, that you felt it took the song, I'll say, pretty much to another level.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is a song that even myself, I've either played on drums or, you know, I've done acoustic gigs and maybe played a cajon or acoustic guitar or whatever I've done. You know, it's a song that's kind of been around for a little bit, but, you know, so I've had that experience of playing that physically, percussion or drums. So that's why even more so, you know, in hearing Matt's parts, it was just like, I just love when another brain kind of, works or on something that, and I could just let it go and have somebody else's talent really shine through. And yeah, it's just awesome.
Talk about the process now of getting the files back from Matt,
Yeah.
right? Because again, I'm not a musician, so to me this seems difficult to get these files, but maybe not. So talk about that whole process.
Well, the thing is, Matt, I forgot how he sent them to me. It was probably a Dropbox type of thing. You could correct me if I'm wrong on that, Matt. Was it Dropbox I usually?
Yeah, Dropbox.
Yeah.
Yep.
The thing that I get very nervous about in something like that, here's Matt's recordings, and he's given me, it's got the room sound, it's got a whole bunch of mics and stuff like that, but I have to represent him the best I can. I have to now put it into Logic. I'm going to put my EQ and my compression and stuff like that, and, I've been doing this for many years, but I felt a real responsibility, even more so, with, Matt's drums or Joel's guitar or whatever, because, again, these guys have a reputation, and I didn't want to put something out that sounded like crap, So it was another interesting part for me because I'm used to the sounds in my studio and, getting something from another studio, having that experience, those different tones, I know Matt had told me up front, I think he told me it's a 28-inch bass drum on that Ludwig. And when he said that, I was like, I kind of looked, he's like, I was like, because I was thinking, maybe that's a big drum for a song like this. He's like, trust me. It's got a really cool, like, mellow tone. And I was like, all right, you know what I mean? But from an engineer standpoint and not having the control of being in the studio, you kind of take a deep breath and not having that experience before. But, getting the tracks, they sounded great. I really didn't have to do too much, and that's a great experience. And that's why Matt goes to a professional studio. And as he says, I just want to play the drums and you guys take care of the great sound. And so I could deliver a great product. So,
is that the way you normally will deliver tracks to all the different artists that you're working with?
Yeah, that's Dropbox is easy. We got a big old Dropbox with tons of space, and so my engineer will just upload all the tracks, all the individual drum tracks for the session to a folder, and then whoever gets that folder just drops it into their, whether it's Logic or Pro Tools, just drops it into their session. They're all the same length. They'll start at the same point. So if I get a track I'm going to play to, I'm going to send back a bunch of tracks that start exactly where that one starts. So they just drop it in, boom, lines up. And then they've got all those microphones to work with. And I will say, too, I've been on the East Coast and I've been recording at a studio called On Deck Sound Studios in Connecticut. And Tracy, the owner and the engineer, just getting just beautiful sounds. And it's like, great drum sounds and great sounds in general in a studio environment. It's getting something that sounds great, but also that doesn't have stuff you have to EQ out. Because if the room isn't dialed in, you've got to EQ some of these things out, and then you're EQing out part of the sound. And so I love that, Vincent said, like, I just turned it up and it's like, cool. That's what I want. I want someone to listen and go, this sounds great. I have a personal preference. I'm going to turn the rooms up or down or turn the snare up or compress it because I want it to be more tight and whatever. But that it just sounds great, out the gate. And again, that's, if I'm worrying about that and playing drums, something's gonna suffer, So, but yeah, logistically, it's really simple, The Dropbox is easy, and again, my engineer can upload that stuff, and I can go have a cigar.
And my question to Matt, if I may, is: do you get nervous when you're working with an artist because here you are handing over great sounding tracks? However, sometimes people could muck with stuff and make something sound that's great, not sound so great, and it's again your reputation on the line. Do you get nervous with working with artists that like something's going to be represented in maybe not a positive light as far as sound, maybe?
No, I mean, I can't control that. And I'll tell you too, there's records that I've done. I'm not going to say what, and I listen back and the records, and I go, yeah, oh, okay. They did that. Well, whatever, and whether it's the use of samples that just obliterate the 1962.
I'm glad you go in there, Matt, because I was going to ask you something about that. But again, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, this obliterates the 1962 28-inch bass drum that I have that, just has this amazing sound, and so, yeah, whether it's that or just how they treat it, it has changed how I play, though, because, not to get like too technical on this, but, you can take somebody who sings out of key and you can crank it up in a, with a piece of software and get them in key. And you can take a drummer who doesn't have good time and he won't have good feel, but it will be in time. And some producers' approach is just to, everything gets tuned, everything gets quantized. Now you can aggressively quantize or just nudge, but I grew up playing without click tracks, so there's an ebb and a flow that just makes music feel good and exciting and emotional. Now the majority of sessions I do are to click tracks, and I love playing to a click, but I'll listen back and I would go, is that me? That's not my feel. Like, I know my feel, and I can just play, straight kick, snare, beat, and I can hear how I play. And if they suck out the ghost notes, or they just put samples and then everything else is like cleaned up, and then they kind of gritted it loses its thing. So I started playing actually more fills than normal because I couldn't hear myself in some recordings. I would say, just sounds like anybody. I'm like, well, fuck that. So it made me kind of do more of, gratum, doodle-doon, doodle-doon, these kind of things that I would do. But I like to just play as little as possible and let the song just be the song. But it made me do a little bit more, which is good. It's fine. You know what I mean? If I can cut loose a little bit, I will, just for a second, just so you go, oh, who's that? Because you could kind of make anybody sort of sound like Phil Rudd, not really like Phil Rudd, but just that kind of simple drumming, which I love. But then you just go, oh, okay, so it could be a drum machine.
Right.
So it has changed the way I play. And what people do with it, I mean, I won't say, if a song is well written, chances are the people working on it, know what they're doing. So there's a good chance that it's going to sound good. And, again, however they prefer to do it is okay with me,
And I'm glad you talk about this, because Mike knows I've talked about this. I mean, a lot of album reviews we do, the first thing I attack is the drum sound, because I am, reason why I buy vinyl is because I love analog. I grew up recording on 8-track reel-to-reel, half-inch tape. I went through that whole experience. I am a big fan of digital, but the first thing I'll notice when I listen to a lot of records is I listen for that snare sound. And when you hear a snare, a drum roll, I could tell right away where it's been sound replacement. Just to me, it still sounds like you're making a natural drum sound like a drum machine. And right. I'm not a fan of that whole sound replacement. Maybe here and there, maybe if you're hitting a floor tom and you want to get another tone in there to beef it up, but just to go full on the grid drumming, it's something I'm really against. And I was doing a session yesterday with a drum friend of mine, and we were doing we're working on this thing. And as you know, Matt, as you get to the middle of the song, the feel of the tempo may be pushed a little bit. Now I put it on the grid, I put it onto a click, and we were struggling with the tune. So we just decided, you know what, fuck it, no click. We're gonna do it like they used to do it in the old days, with standing in a room. I'm gonna play in his cans, and the track just sounded so much better without having the click. Now for this particular track, there's other tracks I use the click, but there are some times, I think Matt alluded to it earlier, where the click kind of stifles the natural feel of progression of a song. So I totally agree with him on that, where, it's not always about trying to perfect, I like it's like I've told the story of the Michael Jackson when in I Want You Back, one recording I heard when he says, ooh, baby, he went sharp on the note and they fixed it. I'm like, was he 6 years old? Leave it alone. I mean, that was the beauty of that. Don't start fixing us. And then I never heard that version. It was being played on the radio. It was ridiculous. So
yeah, I think what's happened with the advent of technology is enabled anyone to be able to record. Mm-hmm. And I was on a panel at South by Southwest a few years ago, and they said, isn't it great that anyone can make music? And I said, not really, because some people shouldn't be making music. Now, I'm not the police. I'm not going to say you don't have the right to make music, But, back in my day, but you had to really want to do it. It wasn't easy. And that weeded out people that just weren't that serious, And so the fact that anyone can do it, okay, I mean, spiritually, that's a beautiful thing. But as a musician, nah. And musician from the East Coast, nah. Maybe,
yeah.
what I mean? Right. So what you end up getting is, anyone can color within the lines, and that's what ends up happening. People are mixing and making music with their eyes. So they get all the drum hits to line up on the grid, and then they get everything perfectly in tune, and it doesn't make it any better.
Yeah.
To be able to just really go, shut off the lights, shut off your monitor. You tell me, is that track in time? Mm-hmm. You tell me, because I can tell you, and I can tell you where it pushed and pulled, and if the push is good or it's kind of distracting. You might want it. You might not. So it's gotten to that point where you got people making music visually rather than using their ears. And again, I'm not in charge of anything, and I'm 50 years old, so it's fine. but that's something that if I make music, for younger artists and even some older artists too, it might get treated that way. You know what I mean? So you just got to keep that stuff in mind. And one thing I will say about samples too, samples like plastic surgery. There's plenty of people that have plastic surgery and you can't tell.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people using samples and you can't tell. Those are the good ones. The ones where you go, oh, geez, what happened to her face? It's like, well, that's not a good doctor. Same thing with the music, too, where you go, everything, and you're like, okay, that's too much, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things, Matt, that jumps out at me, you just said you're 50, right? So you started your career, and you're very open about this online, right? A little bit later in the journey. You weren't the 16-year-old kid that made it big at that time. You made it big a little bit later on in life. So when you do inspirational videos and different classes where you kind of share the knowledge that you've gained over the years. So talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I discovered Kiss at age 8. Neighborhood Kiss Alive 2. I was just like, cool, I'm in. Like, I didn't even hear it. I just saw the pictures. I'm like, yeah, that looks good. And, so I knew what I wanted to do, and that's all I ever did. And, since I was 19, 20, I made a living playing music. But I wasn't playing with people that I, grew up listening to. That wasn't happening. And that went on until my 30s, So I'd done a couple things here and there, and, played this band called Beautiful Creatures, played with Kevin DeBro, which is not a small event for me. That was a really special time. I love Kevin. But I that wasn't my life. That was a piece of it, And so, late 30s, I just kind of got real with myself and just looked at a lot of stuff, which was all on the inside. It wasn't my playing, and it wasn't my haircut or lack of haircut. It was my mindset and how I conducted myself, And when that changed, everything changed. And I got the gig with Ace, and then, it's Mr. Big, Joe Lynn Turner, et cetera, et cetera. It's just continued from there. And so once that started happening, I had other musicians reaching out and saying, what are you doing? Because I've never heard of you before. And now you're seems like you're getting all these gigs. And I started teaching it. I wasn't sure if it was teachable or if you tried it, if it would work for you, or if it only worked for me. And I realized, no, these are actually universal principles. They had nothing to do with music or the music business or anything. They're just, just human principles. And so that's what I do, so that's part of my work. So now with my coaching, I do that with all kinds of different, people in all different industries, entrepreneurs, business owners. I'm getting more, it seems like during COVID, I'm getting more women,
really?
And sometimes moms who kids are just leaving the house, and they're like, they were professional woman, and then they devoted themselves to their kids, and now the kids are gone. They're like, who am I? There's no more kids here. What's going, and they got to refinance this. So anyway, it's like a wide range of people that I work with, but not something when I discovered Kiss at age 8, I was thinking, and I'll be a life coach, but it's something that I have a gift to do, and I'm happy to share it.
Do you think that the experience that you had started in the industry around 30 years old or so, with some of these bigger names, do you think that helps you with the journey of offering your services to the people like Vincent and other things like that?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I think if you are a success at 20 or something, I think that just skews your perspective, not to anyone's fault, you know what I mean? But you don't really have to experience certain things, because it's just like, cool, I had a dream, it worked, done,
Right.
And so I think I just understanding, what it's like to be a songwriter, and I've done it all. I've been the lead singer, the songwriter. I was kind of always the band leader, but I've been the drummer, I've been the guitar player, I've been the producer. I've worn all these hats, so I can relate to everybody. And I know what it's like. And to be, I was in situations for a very long time where I just wanted to get around professional people, guys. And once I, played with somebody who's professional, I'm like, oh my God, this is another level. Like, they really are better. They really are better. And how can I be better? And it made me better. So, to have the opportunity to just go, yeah, I'm not going to look at someone's resume. I don't care. It's like, let me hear your music. Let's talk. And if it's a good fit, then let's work. Because that's really, at the end of the day, like working with Ace. People ask, like, what's that like? It's like working with Vincent. I mean, he's a guitar player. He's a songwriter. He's a dude from New York. That's it. I mean, I'm not reminded that he's Ace Frehley, the spaceman with the smoking guitar and the DeLorean. Like, we're in the studio, and he's like, hey, I got this riff. It goes like this. What do you think? It's like, oh, cool, yeah, and then I'm going to go here, so let's do this. And we're just making music. We're not, he's just being a dude, and he cares about his tone and wants to get a good take and all of that. So when I just strip away all that other stuff, then it just enables me to connect with other artists. And that's really what it's all about. That's really, in the end of the day, it's what it's all about. Because if you're not kind of calculating and trying to figure out all the other shit, you can just be focused on the music and the person you're talking to, and then that's it.
I think, to me, one of the cool things that I hear you saying, like how in your career you wanted to kind of bring it to the next level, working with some of these people, and that's exactly what you're affording artists like Vincent to be able to do right now. So Vin, I know you more recently, started to put out some press for the album and for the song specifically. You've been getting some press on a global scale now. It seems like almost on a regular basis, daily basis. There's different websites picking this up. And I feel in my heart, your stuff was great, but having somebody like Matt attached to that and bringing that professionalism to it just helps raise artists like yourself to that next level, hopefully, and hopefully the cream will rise to the top in situations like that. So talk about your experience of having somebody like Matt and how it's been able to roll out globally for you.
Well, the first thing I want to mention, and this was separate from talking to Matt on the phone, is when I did attend one of his clinics. One of the things that really resonated with me is he said, and I'm not, excuse me if I don't quote you correctly, but you said basically get rid of all the excess garbage that you have in your life. You know what I mean? If you're being loyal to a friend and he's your keyboard player or drummer or whatever, you got to move past that. You got to be able to say, I want to get the best person in this particular position to really be able to get to the next level. And, I've worked with people who I've been loyal to, and I have had to, since that seminar, I had a couple of heart-to-hearts with people saying, listen, I need to do this for me now. You know what I mean? I if I'm going to see this the way I fully, have always visualized it, then I have to start going in other directions, So Matt was a big influence on that, and really gave me a kick in the ass. And if I'm going to do this right, I got to do it right. So I want to give Matt credit for that. The other thing is you asked me about what the other thing I wanted to mention was Matt also agreed up front to provide video. I should mention that that part of what he does is he videotapes, not tape, digitally records, excuse me, his performance, to which I was able to use in the video. And it was kind of cool, that whole process of when I got Matt's video and Joel and Eric, and we did the shoot, and I was sitting there and we were editing it all, and all right, bring Matt in now. Matt wasn't there for that part of it, but it was cool because he was in the band, he was part of that, and that was like awesome. And that really, again, when I think about trying to get this out there, when people see visually, all right, yeah, oh, Matt's on the track, oh wait, Matt's in the video, oh, there he is, he's playing, yeah. I think that really has helped push this thing a bit. And so it's been exciting starting, working with a marketing group who's been helping me with this and starting to see some visibility, because I didn't want it to just be, okay, all my Facebook friends are going to like and comment. How do I get, you and I, Mike, we discussed this, how am I going to get this out there? What do I need to do? I don't know. Really don't know. I had asked Matt this question during one of his seminars, and he gave me some great advice on that I used forward to try to really get this out there. And so it was another thing that Matt was extremely helpful with. So.
Yeah, and I want to say too, I mean, Vincent, well, congrats on everything.
Thank you.
I keep seeing you in my feed. I'm like, oh, is this no, this is new press. Oh, it's a new thing. It's a new, So it's great. And you're just, anyone who's watching this, go to Vincent's page, check out what he's doing, because just went about it really smart. And I could tell from the beginning just how we communicated. And then I heard the song. I'm like, okay, this is a talented guy, well-written song, and just very pragmatic, which, rock and roll, you don't think of that kind of stuff, but that's an essential ingredient, and just the way you just planned this out, and then, brought people on your team, and you just wanted to do more than go, hey, I just made a song, check it out, dudes. Like, you want to actually get a return on your investment of time and money and creativity and all of that. So it's just great to see that. And again, just anyone who's wants to look at a template, well, how do I get to that next level? How do I just go to his page and we'll copy what he did, just look at what he did, because he's doing it and it's not over. It's still going, it's in mid swing.
And then one thing I want to talk about that is that Matt, Mike, I always say, Matt is quality. Matt is great. Like every time you like something, I'm taking Matt is great. Anything. I mean, the fact that you don't just go, okay, I'm done with this guy next. Like, you've been supportive, which has been awesome. I mean, really, from the bottom of my heart, the fact that I know it just sometimes just click and like is just, but the fact that you think to do that or feel to do that or write, great, awesome, whatever, man, I can't tell you how much that means to me, really. And, we've already started talking about, me and Mike, about the next thing I'm going to do. And I'm like, yeah, we're definitely going to get Matt back on this. Yeah, I got to. We already have the song. He knows about a song. I already know the track, So in the future, we will be working again, which is awesome. And I'm really looking forward to that. So
awesome. I'm glad. Yeah. And look, now, just now you are in my feed and you're in my world of, musician friends and stuff. So yeah, it's like, to be supportive of that is, that's my pleasure. And it's inspiring. You know what I mean? That's like, I talk about that with the coaching thing. It's like, people don't want to put themselves out there because, they feel like they're, I don't want to be seen as bragging. I'm like, forget that. You got to inspire people, man. Like if I just met Jimmy Page, I'm going to fucking tell you, I'm going to go, look who I just met, because,
right.
And yeah, a little bit to say, hey, look who I just met, but also like, that's inspiring. If if Mike just met Jimmy Page, I'd want to see the picture. I mean, congratulations on your Paul Stanley interview.
Thank you,
I saw
man.
that and I'm like, Mike, dude, awesome. It's inspiring. So that's what we have to do for each other,
Yeah, and even to what you were saying earlier about, like, when I work with Ace, he's just another guitar player. But for me, again, as a kid looking up these heroes, the fact that it's like the Kevin Bacon's seven. What is the thing to Kevin Bacon?
Seven degrees of separation.
Yeah. It's to me, it's always like just a cool vibe going in, like. This guy works with Ace Frehley, man. This is like one of my heroes. Like, he's in the room talking with Ace, working out parts, and he's doing the same with me. That gives you a lift, too. I mean, it's not all about being starstruck, but it's the reality of the whole experience of your musical experience, your resume. And that's really important to me that you have that, It's not the essential thing. The essential thing is your feel, your time, your playing, your sound. That's the essential thing. But it is a key ingredient to me in working with someone like yourself. So,
yeah. Well, I remember talking to Ace in the beginning when I did the Space Invader record, and I just felt like he was like, let's go check out this new studio. I want to do some demos. The first thing we played was the Joker. And then like the next time I saw him, he goes, oh, that's going to be a great track on the record. I'm like, that was a take? He goes, because he's like, do you know the Joker? I'm like, yeah, I've heard it. I go, let's, and then it ends up on the record. But I kept thinking he was going to bring in Anton, and just because I thought we were doing demos, and I think he just wanted to play with me, and it felt good. So and he was like, okay, we're good. But I kept saying, like, if you bring in Anton, I got to be there. And
right.
he goes, yeah, but it's just the same thing we're doing. I go, well, yeah, but it's you and Anton. He goes, yeah, but it's the same thing. So again, Vincent, to your point, it's just the same thing. I mean, yeah, Anton and Ace in a room together has that, that's like a big deal, but it's just two guys making music, because you got to get to strip away all that other stuff and just do the thing. And then afterwards you can talk about the other shit,
Yeah.
I think to me, one of the cool things here in the both of your story is that, Vin, on your side, it wasn't just the drum track, which was great in and of itself, right? But it was some of the other coaching, some of the other inspiration that Matt was able to give you, some of the other kind of looking even at yourself and saying, hey, you know what? I've got this guy that I've been playing with for 20, 30 years. And, maybe it's good that we're friends, but not for this project. Right? This project's all about me. And I think from what I'm hearing, Matt's inspiration helped you through that also, maybe without Matt even fully knowing that he was doing that for you. But it sounds from Matt that's an important part. But it was really like a full package, it sounds like to me, from the inspiration, not just a recording, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I've worn, as you know, many hats in writing and recording music for many years, but there were certain hats I never wore, and I had no experience. Mm-hmm. And a lot of this was a learning experience. So, yeah, it was great having Matt there for any particular advice or just watching what he does on a daily basis and, see how he conducts himself professionally. I mean, it's all an education. Music is like I'll talk to somebody. I recently, last summer, I started taking bass lessons. I could play whatever, but somebody says, "Well, you could play bass." Well, there's always something to learn. There's no human being on the planet who knows everything on any instrument. There's always something that can be learned. Yes, there's virtuosos, but there's a reason why Steve Vai sounds like Steve Vai and Jimmy Page sounds like Jimmy Page, and they don't sound like each other. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's always something to be learned. And then again, Matt was extremely helpful with that, and just trying to learn, what do I need to do next? How do I do this? How do I get stuff out there? It's, and I'm still learning. As I was telling you the other day, I said I think I'm starting to get a hand on this social media stuff, with posting every day. He's like, you didn't tag this right. Oh shit. I go back, like, making the correction. It's like, you're still learning, but it's still a very new thing for me.
Yep. And I remember you've been telling me that during one of the classes you took of Matt's, he was talking about like hashtag and all different things, and just so that you get greater visibility, right? So, I guess to me, to kind of sum this all up,
which I've been failing miserably. Thank you for reminding me about that.
No problem.
I need to get back on that.
You need to get back on that one. So, but I think to me, what I'm hearing, it's more than just the drum track, which was great in and of itself, right? It's a full package. And, Vin, you've had press going out, not just in the US, but in the UK, in Germany, in Finland, a number of different places. And I think it's through some of the learnings that you had with Matt. Obviously, the drum track helps a lot as well, but it's really a full package that, to me, what I'm hearing is that if an artist wants it, Matt certainly has his services available to support in multiple different ways. And then, of course, it's up to the artist to have the right track, have the right well-written song, self-publicize their stuff, and take it to the next level. But with Matt's coaching, guidance, inspiration, it's certainly more possible than if you weren't utilizing somebody like Matt. So to me, that's what I take out of this whole conversation.
Well, I highly encourage anybody who works with Matt to also attend any of his seminars. He's always doing something different. He's very creative on that end. And, if you really want to get the entire package in whatever you're trying to do or what you're trying to get out there and the experience of that, everything's an experience. I mean, you have the rock experience, you know what I mean? So everything's an experience, and you want to have the best experience in anything you do in life. So definitely, Matt's got his shit together, and I don't mean shit as a bad thing. Good shit.
Good shit. So Matt, how do people find you if they want to take the same road that Vincent took?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the easiest way is to just reach out via social media, either, my Facebook page or my Instagram page, which are both Matt Starr Music. That's my name. And if we're not friends on Facebook, I check that spam folder every day. So I'll make sure I get back to you, but yeah, I'm really accessible, and I just make sure I respond to everybody. Even if someone's like, hey dude, can you get an Ace autograph for me? I just go, sorry, bro. But I still just write back just to keep it moving, and so I'm on it.
No, that's to me, that's awesome. And Vin, what about on your side? Where do people find your music if they want to listen?
My website is VincentLaRussamusic.com. I have a page on Facebook, Instagram, same thing, Vincent LaRussa Music, and everything is on Spotify, Amazon Music, iTunes, Deezer. I don't know, it's like 50-something plus worldwide, different streaming sources or media, outlets where you could get stuff. And,
awesome.
Also, wait, Matt, you sell bass drum. I know bass drum heads and stuff like that. He's always got a lot of cool other stuff that he has accessible too, which is really cool. So you should talk about some of that stuff. I don't know if you have anything right now that you have. I'm pimping your stuff. I'm pimping your stuff.
No, it's cool. No, I do. If anyone wants to, get a signed drum head or a pair of sticks or something, we do that. That's something, I started doing that when we played live, and then we didn't have shows, and I'm like, shit. Now, guys, I'm thinking, people probably aren't going to be into this. And I posted, and they're like, dude, I'm craving, something because there's no shows. I can't get a shirt. I can't get a thing, so that I could have a drum head so anyway, it's been fun. But I have all that stuff too.
And there's all different, I think, colored drum heads, right? You have a few different Ace Frehley drum heads. One's like a blue and red, and one's a silver. So there's something for, I'll say, every Ace Frehley fan or Matt Starr fan that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We do, yeah.
Awesome. Anything else? One other thought I had with the recording. How long does that whole process take from the time you first reach out to Matt to the time you had the finished drum track? How long does that whole process take?
I mean, he basically said, listen, I'm going to be going in the studio within the next couple of weeks. He tells you exactly what date he's going to go in. This way, if I have to deliver something to him, he has it. Mm-hmm. That day he went in the studio, he recorded. I think an hour or so later in my Dropbox was the videos, all the audio, the stems. Mm-hmm. It was, as promised. Wow. So it was same day. If you want to ask me, it's like same day service. I think preface it is I should have it to you. My engineer should have it, by tomorrow, and it was already there within a couple hours. So it's really quick.
So from the time you reached out to the time you had the tracks, it was just a matter of him having the day to go in the studio, but it sounds like it's a few week turnaround. Is that fair, Matt? Is that normal, a few week turnaround?
Yeah, I mean, it could be depending on when I'm going in. I mean, I'm in there a couple times a month, so it just depends on where in the cycle of me tracking, but at the most a couple of weeks. Sometimes it's like, oh, hey, I'm going in a few days. Let's get a move on and we'll get it done. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Anything else from either of you guys regarding the recording that you did together, or anything else that you wanted to just make sure you mentioned before we wrap up?
I would just say, just check out Vincent's site, check out his music, and, I know there's more coming too. So really, really good stuff.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys both. And like Matt just said, check out Vincent's site, but also make sure you check out Matt's site. And I strongly encourage anybody who's recording.
And any of his recordings.
That's right.
Like this one, that's conveniently placed.
That's right. But check out the website, check him out on Facebook, and I strongly encourage for anybody who's a recording artist. I've seen Vin what it does for you, and I'm sure it could do the same for others if they have the drive. So I strongly encourage everybody to check that out. So thank you both. It was a great chat today. Appreciate it, and I guess that'll be it. Until next time, thanks everybody for watching. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Vin. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Alrighty, there you have it. I'd like to thank both Matt and Vincent for joining me on this episode today. Thanks a lot, guys. That was a lot of fun. If you're a musician listening out there, I strongly encourage you, reach out to Matt, whether it's for his drumming services or just some of his life coaching. I think you guys will get a lot out of it. Also, check out Vincent LaRussa's album, Before the Storm, as well as his video. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can check out the description section below for all of Matt's services, as well as Vincent LaRussa's CD and video for Before the Storm. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. You could also follow me on Instagram and Twitter as well. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. See you all next time.